Hey everyone, Gabriel here. The episode you're about to listen to is one that I recorded about 9 months ago. Obviously, if you are listening to Chaser Chat, you're probably aware that the show took a bit of a hiatus as I started a new small business and reorganized the way the show works. Unfortunately, that means during the interim period, the group of young men that I interviewed in this episode actually disbanded their storm chasing group. I reached out and asked them if they still wanted this episode to air. They said yes, there was no bad blood or animosity about SQ chasing coming to a close. They were just ready to move on to something different. All three members of SQ Chasing are people that I already knew individually. I think they're really great guys. So make sure you give them a follow on social media, and I'm sure you'll be hearing from them each individually on this platform again at some point in the future. Take care, everyone, and I hope you enjoyed the episode.
Howdy, folks, and welcome back to another episode of the Chaser Chat podcast. I am Gabriel Harber, and I've got a first for all of you today. I've had two people on the podcast at once for an interview, but now I have three. Introducing Storm Quest Chasing members Jimmy Sienicki, Ryan Scholl, and Hunter Hurley. How the hell are you three boys doing today?
Absolutely amazing.
Doing just fine, Gabe. Thank you.
I'm also doing just fine.
That is wonderful. Would have been a shame if any of you weren't doing fine. Let's go ahead and start it off by talking a little bit about how Storm Quest Chasing came to be, and then we'll get into some of the chases that you folks have had together and anything else related to the group that you'd like to talk about. So I'm not sure which of you would like to start off the conversation, but I'm going to throw it your way, and it's all yours.
I'll go ahead and answer that because I'm one of the people that came up with the idea for it. So this was back in February, beginning of February this year. Me, Cody, Dunkel, and Zane Hamilton, we decided we want to start a chase group. And after a bit of thinking, we decided to call it Storm Quest, and we got a ton of new members on eventually. And over the course of the year, it grew to what it became today. That's the basis of it.
Now, Ryan or Hunter, when did both of you become involved with it?
I think Ryan and I joined pretty much the same time. I joined later on after the formation of StormQuest. I was just asked by Zane if I wanted to hop onto the group, and I thought it was a great idea with a great initiative at first.
From what I remember, Hunter and Ryan, you guys were one of the first people.
Yeah, Zane was like, "Hey, do you want to be in this group? It has a bunch of cool people." And I was like, "Yeah, why not?"
Now, I think a question a lot of people might have, I know I have this question, is what is the advantage to being a part of a group like this? I know the advantage of being connected to a broker, because obviously if you have footage that helps you get connected, and to a certain extent that can help with getting your notoriety out there as well. What about being part of a storm chasing group? How does that sort of collaboration work?
I'm not sure how other people look at StormQuest, but as the inside of StormQuest, as we look at each other, we don't necessarily look at us as a normal. If you just go off of our Twitter bio, it's just a bunch of nerds looking at clouds. We're just here to help each other grow, not to step on each other's toes at all with content posting, and just to have fun in general chasing storms.
Yeah, the way I see it is like we're a group of friends that supports each other, and we don't necessarily all chase together like the same setups or whatever, but we still talk about it and discuss with each other and all that.
Yeah, StormQuest is just a group of awesome people that we've met along the way. Hunter about a year ago today, and a lot of other people along the way. And you can't ask for a better friend group to storm chase with.
Now, is being part of a group like this, does it also entail some people, when they're not able to make it out on the road and chase, they'll stay back and run operations to help out those people who are in the field?
If we're talking about forecasting operations, yeah. Social media, I believe I'm the only one right now who runs our social media accounts. But in terms of forecasting and communications, yeah, it's pretty much a group effort for everybody, whether they're chasing or not, to help each other out with the forecasting and where we're going to go and target for that day.
Yeah, I've had so much help behind the scenes a lot of the year of where to go since I've chased everything. Thanks to Jimmy, Hunter, and so many other people have got me some great tornadoes.
Yeah, I noticed that all the forecast discussions we've done over the past few months, over the course of the year, it's really helped us narrow down our target decisions.
Especially Yuma. That we us together, we nailed that one.
I remember that I was hesitant to go because I'm 12 hours away and it's a decent Colorado setup, but I'm gambling. But then I drive out and I'm hearing Hunter and Ryan talk about it, and just, okay, I might actually be hyping myself up a little here with good reason. That was definitely the right decision to drive up for that, though.
Okay, so you mentioned Yuma. What was it about that chase in particular that you think the group really helped you be successful?
It's Colorado. You can't just not chase the Colorado 5% when it's that hyped up as well.
Yeah, it was only a 6-hour drive from where I lived and saw Hunter after the fact, after the big Dusty Bowl. I never saw Jimmy out there though. He was in a different spot.
I think
Yeah.
I passed you at one point, Ryan.
No, because I was really close the whole time.
I
was-
remember the night before, half the reason I left to go chase it is because I missed that wedge in Illinois 2 days prior. And I was thinking, I have nothing better to do. I already missed the tornado. You know what? Why not? It's my last chase of the summer, probably too. And
I
when
mean-
I was
Sorry.
driving down there the next day, I still had a bit of doubt in my mind, but then as I said earlier, talking with the guys in StormQuest about it, it gave me a lot more confidence in the setup because I'm not used to forecasting and chasing Colorado events, and they're very different from what I'm used to.
Yuma couldn't have been a better tornado for us three to experience together. And as Gabe, I chased that event as well, the high risk Chris. I believe he's been
Yep.
on your show before. And I got to say, that was a top tier chase right there. The forecasting that we put into it was almost perfect. Ryan and I were no more than 25 miles away from that tornado happen. And pretty much the entire StormQuest team together all came together and was like, you can't miss this type of chase. It's just a hit or miss type of situation.
Yeah. And of course, I was on vacation the day before. Man, the things I missed on vacation definitely hurt. So it was a win for me, even if I didn't see anything.
Ryan, it sounds like you have been one of the more active chasers, not just in StormQuest, but I think in the entire chaser scene this year. Is that something that was unique to just this season, or did I just not know about you before?
Yeah, it's unique to the season. I've quit my job back in late March so I could chase the Kyoto, Iowa tornado, that event. But yeah, no, this is my first year pretty much full time. And the next year should be just as crazy, but maybe not as crazy as this year, though.
What are some of the big takeaways you have from going out and chasing full time? Because I think that's something a lot of people would like to do for a living. And I think a lot of people might be a little bit, I don't want to say delusional, but they might be a little bit understating how difficult it can be to actually make that a career choice.
Yeah, obviously it's not a full career choice yet, but if I have to give advice to some of those younger chasers that want to be out there full time and whatnot, don't chase every little marginal setup like I've done this year. That's been a big mistake, and I've learned from that. So obviously since July, I haven't been out so much, but yeah, don't chase every little setup. But if something looks decent enough and you think it's worth the drive, do it, as long as you have the funds to back it up.
Now, I have wondered, and I'd love to get any of your takes about this, not just Ryan's, but at what point do you draw the line between should a chase be initiated if the risk is high enough and the setup looks good enough no matter the distance, or let's say it is a bunch of slights and marginals but it's somewhat close to home? Like, I've always wondered what strategy might be the best. Should I just give myself a certain radius and I'm not chasing outside of this for financial reasons, or should I even forego some of those chases in my quote unquote backyard, 2, 3, 4 hours being backyard? So that's of course relative to what storm chasers would be considering backyard. But or should I forego some of those chases as well to save money and only chase like higher end setups? And I don't know really what the correct answer to that is.
I wouldn't necessarily say that there's a sort of threshold for me. For your more long distance events, I mainly go off of who's chasing from the community. I like being around people when I chase. I like meeting people. I like seeing friends. So it's like Yuma, for example. If, say, Jimmy or Ryan were going to chase Yuma, I wouldn't have chased. I chased that because it looked good. Plus, I had a few friends that were going to be there and I wanted to see them. As for marginal setups, I more so do my own forecasting and take the advice of fellow StormQuest members on what's going on near me. I don't necessarily go off what the SPC says. If I see a lot of 3 Cape and Warp Max and they put out like a 2%, I'm going to follow where that goes.
For me,
Yeah.
it's a mix of both. Longer distance chases, I'm more picky with what I want to chase. If I'm driving 8, 9, 10 hours for a chase, it's almost certainly going to be because of a tornado threat, not just structure. Now, say if it's only 2 hours away and the setup looks like trash, I might still chase it just because I want to experience being under a storm, just because I'm bored and just want that fun. So for me, oftentimes, even though setups are close range, I won't go out just because they don't look good, and I don't really feel like chasing just rain showers, but other times I do, depending on what I feel like. The other big takeaway I have on this question is that even though driving 8 hours to target area puts a lot more miles on your car than driving 3 hours to target area, driving 3 hours to a target area and back still puts quite a bit of miles on the car. So
Right.
it's still a commitment.
I guess for me, obviously, I've driven like over 70,000 miles this year.
That is freaking nuts, by the way.
I cannot believe I've done that. But yeah, I say especially it's worth it if it's 2 hours away. I don't care for me. I don't care if it's a marginal and it's 2 hours away. I'll go gladly do it if the storms will track me right back home, which I've done a lot this year since I've been living in Nebraska, and it's been super active around there. But yeah, I've driven 21 hours for a hurricane. I sat out some setups because it's been too far and it just hasn't looked good enough. But yeah, lots of miles and it's completely worth it.
Lots of miles, lots of time, lots of Taco Bell.
Yes.
Don't forget the sleep deprivation.
Ryan, how are you even awake right now? Like, how are you not a zombie 2 or 3 months into the season?
I don't know, honestly. I somehow just had the drive to keep going. I don't know how. I did the night before Spalding.
I felt that too. The night before Spalding, I could not sleep whatsoever.
I only got 5 hours of sleep that night, and I was already sleep deprived, and I could tell that hurt my decision making, like just in my mental ability to think.
I drove all night back from south of Oklahoma City all the way back up to northeast Nebraska to get back home for that.
I had an Airbnb in Wichita, which helped me.
Ryan, have you been staying in hotels a lot, or you been car camping? Because I imagine car camping would help cut down the cost a lot as well.
Yeah, the reason how I've been able to afford a lot of this, besides other things, is car camping. Hotels are like $100 a pop. Car camping's completely free, and honestly, it's not that bad as people put it as.
I actually generally prefer car camping to hotels.
In good old truck stop gas stations, they always have showers that you can use.
See, I'm brand new to car camping, and I have not gotten used to it yet.
I got used to it after my third time sleeping in my car.
Hunter, how old are you?
I'm 23.
Okay, so I can give you this advice without getting into legal trouble. If you want to acclimate yourself to car camping a little bit quicker, just take a shot or two of whiskey before you go to sleep. It'll knock you right out. You'll sleep just fine.
I gotta remember to keep a bottle of Hennessy on me all the time now.
There you go.
That's a great idea.
Back in the old days when I was still getting acclimated to it as well, that was always a surefire way. If I was uncomfortable or couldn't sleep or the lights were too bright from the parking lot or whatever, just shot of whiskey and half an hour, you're done for.
Sign me up.
I figured out how to go to sleep when I'm trying to car camp. I time the hours I sleep based off of my sleep schedule, which is also the same reason I like to drive to setups the night before. Because if I'm going to be going to sleep late, like I normally do, and waking up late, I'm just going to do the first 3 hours of the drive. And then I calculate my drive, so I stop and go to sleep when my body naturally goes to sleep, and then wake up when my body naturally wakes up. That way I don't really have to worry about all of that.
Yeah, and one thing with car camping that is really difficult is there's no sleeping in until 10:30 or 11, because once the sun comes up, even if it's cold outside, that sunlight starts to come through the windows and you're going to get hot and sweaty and be unable to sleep regardless. So that's one piece of advice I think a lot of people who are new to it don't realize as well. There's no sleeping in when you car camp.
I've been able to do it comfortably.
I can't,
really?
Dude. I can't tell you how many times I've just woken up at 6:30 with the sun blaring into my eyes.
Yeah,
well,
so Ryan knows, man. Ryan knows.
Well, I have these nice privacy curtains I put up, and if I need to, I'll crack the windows open and still get a good breeze. And then if that still doesn't work, I have a fan I can use, but the fan doesn't really help during the day.
Hey everyone, Kay here from Rough Skies Ahead and Chaser Chat. I wanted to give a quick shout out to the new Chaser Chat YouTube page, where you can find all your favorite episodes uploaded in video form with a transcription to follow along with. The link is in the podcast description.
You're probably wearing clothes right now, and I know you like listening to podcasts. Why not combine the two and support the show? Head over to chaserchat.com or click the link in the podcast description, and you'll find all sorts of items like t-shirts, hoodies, beanies, ball caps, coffee mugs, and more. And if none of that sounds good, at least buy a freaking sticker. It's only $3. Visit the merch store today and support the podcast by going to chaserchat.com or clicking the link in the podcast description. So what are some of the other chases that you folks have all been able to do together? Or have there been any chases where all three of you have had a chance to be out together?
There's been several non-tornadic chases that a lot of us have chased together. For example, the early October event in Kansas and Nebraska.
Yes.
The majority of StormQuest members were chasing that day. Ryan just happened to chase the northern event and stupidly got a tornado out of it.
I was just completely out of what just comes out, and there's a little dust swirl on the ground under this like weird wall cloud or funnel.
But we had a large number of StormQuest members down there. We had Max, Steven, Jimmy, me, Jackson, Rabbit, all down there in Kansas having fun. Even though we didn't get a tornado, we had a lot of fun down there. But I'd say most systems that come by, whether they're low end to high end systems, there's at least going to be one or two StormQuest members together during that system.
I should have asked you this at the beginning. Who are all of the current members? Because I know there's at least I think one member, Jimmy, that you had mentioned who is no longer with SQ Chasing. So I was just curious as to who is all a part of it now.
Yeah, so the only two members that were previously part of StormQuest but are no longer part of StormQuest are Cody Dunkel and Zane Hamilton. Right now we have Noah Grant. He's from Kansas City Metro. We have Max Archer, Steven. How do you pronounce his last name?
Walt.
And then of course you got Brian.
I interviewed him. I'm becoming the king of last names because I actually have to ask people. And that's a funny story, by the way, because at the beginning of this, before we started recording, I asked Jimmy what his last name is, and his two buddies didn't even know. So,
and then, of course, we have Jimmy, Ryan, me. We have Mason and Cassie Frey, the two wonderful married couple. Haley from Iowa, and Rabbit is good, Rabbit is wise. And then Jonathan. I'm not sure if he's too known on social media, though.
So what kind of plans do you have for the future of StormQuest?
I don't think we're even too sure what plans we have with StormQuest. It's smooth sailing right now. We just chase together, have fun together. We post what we have on the StormQuest Twitter. I'm not sure if I want to take us in the general group as Storm Chase teams go.
I have noticed too, and the reason I asked that is because you mentioned earlier that StormQuest is not necessarily what you would think of when you think of like a storm chasing group. And I've noticed that there is a lot of infighting, a lot of rise and fall of various storm chase groups. I've been around the block long enough now on Twitter to see these groups pop up, everybody get excited, and then they fade out. Seems like you guys, though, are a little bit more relaxed, a little bit more laid back, starting to gain some longevity. And so I was just wondering, if there's anything in the future that you wanted to be maybe more official, or if you're just going to keep it more of a loose association of friends.
I think that's how we're going to keep it is a loose association of friends. I don't really want to take, and I don't know if I'm speaking for all StormQuest members, but for myself, I'm not sure if I want to take StormQuest to the more official approach to chase teams and have it. I know some of these chase teams are not less like a business, and that's not exactly how I want StormQuest to go in my personal.
I don't want to make money off of this. It's just to have fun.
Again, we're just a group of nerds who like looking at clouds.
I have an idea. I'll just throw it out there. You guys can have it for free if you're interested. And I think people have talked about this before. It reignited in my mind with the whole Jimmy and Ryan getting an apartment together situation. I think there should be like a giant fraternity house for storm chasers, and like a storm chase group would be the perfect way to do it. So let's just take some cameras, get some vlogs and stuff, put all the StormQuest members in like a giant mansion somewhere in Oklahoma. And then we can just make a reality television show out of it over the course of a summer.
To correct you right there, it was me and Ryan who got the apartment.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I thought for some reason it was Jimmy and Ryan.
Nah.
We actually have something like that, like semi-planned for the 2024 Chaser Summit in Fort Worth. We actually plan on getting like a 7-bedroom Airbnb, and we're gonna put some StormQuest members in it and just have fun.
Could be like, what are some of the shows that they've had in the past, like Big Brother or something like that? You could have your challenges, first first person in the house to see 3 tornadoes or something.
How long until the house gets hit by a tornado?
When will our apartment get wiped off the map?
Jimmy, are you located in the same area as Ryan and Hunter then, or are you in a different part of the country?
I am in Norman, Oklahoma right now. So I'm from the Chicago suburbs, but I go to school down in Oklahoma here.
So before we close out the podcast, I'm going to go to each of you and just ask about one chase from this season that sticks out in your mind the most. Doesn't even necessarily have to be a tornadic chase or like a violent, significant tornado, but just one that sticks out in your mind for any reason. So Jimmy, I'll start with you.
I think I'm going to go with the twin tornadoes I saw in Northeast Illinois on July 12th. That day is really special to me because seeing something like that mesmerizing in my backyard is all just has its special feeling to me. I also remember it was completely my chaser instincts that got me to the tornado because the storm looked like trash for a while, and then I saw the RFD rain curtains wrapping around to my north, and I saw some area of rotation. I think it was, I don't exactly remember, but then instinctively I just knew just to drive north through that RFD, and I met the base right to my east, and it just produced that super beautiful tornado right in front of me. What was also nice about that chase is since I'm from there, I know all the roads. So lots of other chasers, they struggled with that road network. I knew where to go. I knew the spots of where to go. And I knew that I couldn't go east of Illinois 47, which is a north-south road there. Like I knew I had to go north and position here.
I made that mistake, by the way. I've made that mistake with 47 before, and it turns into very unfriendly, unchaseable territory very quickly. Ryan, what about you?
It sounds like such a basic answer saying this, but Spalding, because that was only an hour away from where I used to live. Having Hunter ahead of me on that road, and you have the Dominator sitting on that highway, just intercepting. You're right next to this violent tornado. You can see the whole entire updraft of the tornado and didn't do any damage, but it's just a different type of day, and it definitely is one of the best chase days I've ever had.
Yeah, the Dominator wasn't the only thing that intercepted that tornado, huh?
No, it was also Jimmy.
Yeah, it was a mistake.
Wait, what happened there?
So I was driving south on that north-south road, and I was caught off guard because that's the first time I've ever seen a tornado that caliber. So I'm just in awe, and I keep driving south until I realize, oh shoot, I'm really close to this. So I stop to make sure I'm looking at the motion correctly. I see the left edge. I see the right edge. It's stationary.
Uh-oh.
Turns out that tornado that paused when I paused, so I thought I was in the path. And since I was pretty close, I just decided to gun it and south so I wouldn't have to waste time turning around. Turns out the tornado almost ran me over, and I was in the outer circulation in the rear inflow jet.
Oh, geez. Did you keep all your windows at least?
Oh, yeah. Everything was fine.
Yeah, because I've heard a lot of stories about people getting caught up in the rear inflow jet and not really suspecting that it's going to be that strong. And then all of a sudden a big punch comes through of air and just blasts out their windows.
I felt the wind like pushing my car to the left, but like nothing felt like it was going to pick up the car or anything.
Good. It's always nice to have every once in a while a chase like that lets you know you're still alive.
Yeah, that was an experience.
And Hunter, what about you? What was your most memorable chasing experience this year?
This may be a bit of a curveball answer to Ryan and Jimmy, but I would have to say June 27th, 2023 this year, when weirdly enough crashed my car into a deer. I woke up that morning in Council Bluffs, Iowa. I was with Haley for that day, and we were originally going to go chase the northern target with Ryan, but we saw the MCD come out for an Outlook upgrade for Kansas and Oklahoma, and we decided to book it 9 hours from pretty much the Omaha Metro all the way down to the Dodge City area. So we're chasing that, and then I hit a large buck later on the night. But after that, we got to stay in this wonderful town of Buffalo, Oklahoma. And then good friend Ryan here drove. Ryan, how many hours did you drive down to?
I think it was only like 7 hours actually.
And then we made you miss the Kimball tornado the next day.
Hey, the memories were made. I don't care.
But all in all, that was probably my most memorable chasing experience. of this year, only because from bad it came good. I got to spend that time down there in a beautiful small city. I made a lot of great friends down there who I still talk to today. I got to spend that time with Haley and Ryan on the drive back. And then the next day we went over to Colorado and Wyoming again and chased more tornadoes.
Was your car ultimately okay?
No, it was unfortunately totaled. The frame was bent on the vehicle, so they totaled it.
That must have been a huge buck to bend the frame.
It was one of the largest ones I've ever seen, yes.
He really should have watched where he was going, man.
No, the best part of that being is that we waited 2.5 hours after the storm had passed us for any sheriff's deputy to show up because they were so busy taking other calls because of wrecked vehicles and down power lines.
All right, gentlemen, I think that's a good place for us to leave it. I know, Hunter, you have to get going. I believe you're on your lunch break still.
Yes, I just clocked back into work and I'm about to take another 15-minute break to wrap this up.
I was going to say, so we got to get going here. I'm not sure if I mentioned it at the beginning, but I am definitely going to have each of you on individually for your own personal interviews so we can get a little bit more into the nitty-gritty of your backgrounds, talk about some of your other chases in depth. But I really appreciate all three of you joining me here to talk as a group. On behalf of StormQuest Chasing. And I'm going to start with Jimmy and just ask, could you tell people where they can find you on social media if they want to follow along with your chasing?
Yeah, so my main social media is Twitter. It's at get_EML'd. It's it's a joke that came up last year that stuck.
Ryan, how about you?
I live stream my chases on YouTube a lot of the time. So you can just look up Storm Chaser Ryan Scholl on YouTube. And I'm also on Twitter. And the username is WXScholl, SCHOLL.
And Hunter.
Yeah, I'm on YouTube and Twitter under Hunter Hurley WX, HURLEY. And you can also follow us on StormQuest Twitter as well, SQ Chasing.
Awesome. Thank you all three gentlemen again for joining me. And I look forward to talking to each of you individually at some point in the future as well. Thanks for listening. If you're not already subscribed, hit that button right now and then make sure notifications are turned on so you never miss an episode again. There are lots of ways to show your support for Chaser Chat. You can pick up something from the merch store, leave a rating and a review on your favorite podcast app, leave a comment and a like on YouTube, or just share the link to this episode on your preferred social media platform. Thanks again for listening, and I'll catch you on the next episode.